demonstrations. Alrighty, so for the first demonstration, little sketch here, really quick scene of Paris, I think it is, and I've picked out a bunch of paints that I think will work well together, okay, and also just a bit of an experiment. I'll probably, we'll mix up a few or see how we go anyway. I've got over here, I've got some ivory black, burnt sienna, indigo, a color that I've not had for a really long time, but a really nice shadow color. I've got a pyrrole ruby red. I've got a French blue, so basically an ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow medium, and the earth yellow. So I'm going to squeeze these out and get started. Okay, so I'm just going to grab a bit of this cadmium yellow medium. And another thing to keep in mind is that when I was opening these paint tubes as well, there wasn't any excess paint in there. Sometimes when you open them up, paint just starts to spill out. No issues there. Though some of the paints are thicker than others, and those include paints like these darker ones, like the blues, this French blue. Even the umber, the burnt sienna here was a fair bit thicker than the cadmium yellow and the red. Okay, so that's pretty common, I think, with a lot of watercolors. Let's go ahead, and I'm just going to put a bit of this yellow. I'm just trying to just suss out the consistency and see how it performs, and that looks pretty good. I mean, really can't tell the difference between this and some of my other watercolors, my professional watercolor set. Let's have a look. Just getting a bit of that yellow ochre in there as well. You can also mix in a little bit of umber. Oops, that was a bit of red actually. A little bit of raw umber. A little bit of burnt sienna. Just trying some of that burnt sienna to see how it will appear as well. Some more of that yellow ochre running through here. Just trying to get some, basically some warm colors on that building. I do like that earth yellow color. It's nice, kind of like a subdued yellow, I guess. Okay, I'll move that across to the left-hand side. Yeah, just get in all those buildings in a quick sort of wash. Move some of this stuff down that side as well. I want to carry this wash sort of down to the ground. And then what I'll try to do is just mix in some of this other blue indigo paint or something like that. Where is it? Here, a little bit of indigo maybe. And some black, ivory black and indigo together. I don't want it to be too sort of too dark. But you just indicate a little bit of darkness here in the ground, some grays. Just want to also see how the paint interacts and mixes in. So far, so good. It's absolutely fantastic. Okay. Get in a bit of the blue. We've got a bit of French blue. Let's get a bit of that cobalt blue light as well. Cobalt blue light. Oh, this one's like kind of very thick in there. Okay. Pick up a bit of this because I think this will look better in the sky, just because it's a bit lighter and a little muted. Yeah, that's much better. Look at that. That's a great substitute for cerulean blue. Okay, so I'm just going to go around and get in this, finish off this building, the sky, and get it to also, if you get a bit of it blending into the sky as well, just no big deal. especially because I'm just doing a quick sketch. Okay, but you also be able to see how the paint reacts and mixes, and it's behaving nicely. Okay. Great. Just put in a little bit of grey for these cars, just a touch of grey in areas. But I will leave some of the windscreens white, maybe on that one as well, to the right. Okay, I'll give this a little dry. Okay, there we go. That's that first wash done, and it's dried very nicely indeed. And probably worthwhile mentioning as well that I'm using cold press paper. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to mix up a shadow color. So I'm going to use my blue, my French blue here. Mix a bit of this red into it as well. French blue, bit of red. This is going to turn kind of like a purplish color. Oops. And a little bit of this yellow as well, this cadmium yellow. Unfortunately, some of it's been contaminated by the yellow ochre. Um, but this is going to just mix me up a kind of a grayish, a nice grayish color, okay, that I can then use to paint in shadows. Okay, so I'm trying to aim for a slightly cooler grey, I've put in a lot of red in there, so I'm actually just trying to backtrack and pick up. Yeah, there we go. A little bit more of that. A little bit more of that blue to go in there. Some little bit of yellow as well. Okay, so there we have it. We have a kind of grayish color. I'm going to go over the top of this building to the left. Okay. Um, and let's go ahead. I'm going to cut around and just try to get in this general shade, this darker sort of shadow. Let's try a bit of indigo as well in here. I think the indigo is going to help also. Oh, this is nice. The indigo mixing into this is actually a really nice gray. So just go around and just cut through. Okay. And all I'm using is just a mop brush to make this as simple as possible. There we are, just cutting around. I'm just trying to go through and get this sort of larger shadow shape in. Maybe like something cutting across the edge of that building like that. There. More bluish colors in here. Okay, let's bring this down. This, there. And maybe having another shadow running across the bottom of this building like that, joining them up. Okay, look at that. Yeah, that indigo does wonders. And you can actually, as you can see, I'm just darkening off the bottom a bit with some thicker indigo, just seeing how it's going to react when I'm dropping it in there, and it's actually going quite well. Okay, the ground as well, just it's kind of getting this shadow shape in. Okay, maybe a bit here in the car. Okay, underneath that car as well. Just trying to get in a shadow, generally just running across the scene like this. There, bit of a shadow here, and interestingly, you've also got this shadow, this this shadow cast on this building, which we're going to have to get in as well. Okay, something like this. So the building, the shadow, buildings from the left casting the shadow here. There's also a bit of shadow behind that building there. Trying to get this all in at the same time. Okay. join that on. Wow, and these pigments are very intense, and they certainly go a long way, which I like. Um, Going across, what else do we have? Just some more of these little shadows and things like that. Bit of shadow here on that side of the building, maybe. Oops. Okay. Um, yeah, can I flick a bit of water in here or something just to muddy this section up a little bit? See what happens if I just flick a bit of water through there, through those buildings. Okay. Wow, look at that. Responds quite well to it. Um, can you see that sort of dispersing around the water? It's creating some interesting little patterns. I'm just trying to see if I can get it to granulate a touch or not. Doesn't seem to really be doing a whole lot, but you do get a little bit of this nice blooming mini bloom effects here in the shadows. Okay. What I'll do now is just get in some little windows, indications of windows and things here. Um, and again, I'm just picking up this kind of indigo gray blend from before, and I'm just indicating a bunch of these windows here. They're not certainly not perfect or anything even close to it, but just something quick, okay, to indicate some of them. I don't want the windows to look too stuck on as well, so I'm hoping to get this to kind of blend in on some of the washes here a touch like that. Can you see a little blend on the wash? And just little windows like that. There's some of them I'm gonna have to leave until later, okay, because the previous wash is still wet. But you can see actually some of these features of the buildings can actually be put in while that previous wash is still doing its thing. Okay. Even here in the background, you got some little bits there. Well, just simplify it down. Okay. On the top of the buildings as well, I'm just going to get in some little indications of features and stuff like that. Okay. Darken that side of the rooftop a touch. Okay. A little something on top of this building as well here. Okay, like I said, it's really just indications. I'm having no issues at all getting a large variety of, of values. Okay, let's give this a quick dry. Right, now with some final touches, I'm just going to pick up some of the indigo with my flat brush. A little bit of the indigo with my flat brush. And mix it in with a bit of black, maybe a bit of this grayish color that I had before. And I'm going to put in some of the really darker parts. Really just see how dark I can get this. It's, for example, like a couple of these windows, you can see there's like a bit of darkness running through some of them. I can just indicate some details. Okay. That. Here. Let's put in a couple of windows there. Yeah, especially in the darker parts under the shadow, you can really emphasize that a bit more. Um, just blue, a bit of blue and indigo, a bit of this darkness mixed together. There we go, that's the car over on this side. I'll just change it maybe to a um, front facing or something like that. Make it look like it's coming towards the scene. More cars in there. Also figures. We've got people kind of walking around in this area at the back. Of course, just simplify this. I'm just simplifying this down a touch. Shadow as well, running to the right for some of these cars and figures. Okay. It's a lot of tonal, there's a lot of values that you can get out of these. Definitely there's yeah, no issues at all. Let's have a look here in this side. I'm just going to put in a few more, maybe some really dark spots with this black. How can we get some, there we go, some little bits of line work like this here. Windows, perhaps. I think it's pretty dark. I've kind of bungled this car up on the right hand side, but it doesn't matter. Okay. Getting a few little perspective lines here. Bits and pieces on the rooftops, perhaps, or like indications of some railing and things like that as well is good. Yeah, it does. I like that I'm able to mix up some really nice greys. Just absolutely crucial. And re-emphasize this little shadow here on the right side of that building. It's kind of like a bit more in darkness, actually. Just drop in a few more of these little windows or whatever. Oh, doesn't matter. Okay, so that's it for the first demo. I'm really pleased with how this has turned out in terms of actually the colors, the variation in values that I was able to get. I feel like I'm just painting with any other professional grade watercolor paint.